Good morning and welcome to Lady Catherine Live. I am Lady Catherine and I will be your host for the next hour. I chose the popular topic of twin flames because as a psychic reader, most of the callers ask the question, have I found my twin flame? I have found that it is so rare that only 1% of my clients have met a twin. Most of the calls are truly karmic past life soulmates or just unhealthy relationships. I have a guest here today who is in the 1%, and she has a story to share with us. Here is Callie, who will be offering her experience, strength, and hope with her twin flame journey. Hello, Callie. Welcome.
Hi, Lady Catherine. Thanks for having me on today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It really is. We've been through quite a year together, and I guess I really want to start out with if you can just give us a little bit of background.
Okay. Well, we have been through quite a year. Wouldn't have probably made it without Lady Catherine's help. But just a little background. I have been in a marriage for 8 years. I didn't realize anything was wrong. I mean, there were some holes as in anything, but I hadn't been triggered as to anything being just majorly wrong until one day I met my twin flame. And that was unlike any meeting, any experience I've ever had in my life. It was just jolting. It was jarring. It literally picked me up out of my life. And at first put me in a very great level of confusion, but also ecstasy. It was just crazy. I met my twin flame on January 4th in a very, very odd way. I guess the year prior to meeting him, it was almost like I was being prepared for something. I had really gotten into my health and fitness and hadn't really started working out, but I had lost weight. I had gotten really healthy on my eating and just really made some changes that made me a better person. And so I decided I'd take the next step and start working out. And I go to this gym where it's a very small town, empty gym. No one's ever there. And I joined the 3rd of January. And I said, when is the time I can come in here when no one will be here? And the girl said, she doesn't work there. She just meets you up there. So it's not like she's even there. So she said, around this time, 2:30 in the afternoon, nobody's ever here. Well, I go the next day. I tootle on in. And after 5 minutes, in walks my twin flame. And it was just instant eye contact. I was not looking. I was not thinking, oh, maybe there'll be a man here. Nothing like that could be. I mean, I was somewhat happy. Anyway, we started talking. It was a very just instant thing for both of us. Sometimes it might just be one person, but in this case, it was both of us. And we talked, and then it was like when it was time to go, we didn't want to say goodbye, but we didn't talk about anything deep or anything. It was just this recognition. So the next day I went and I thought, well, I just shook my head and was like, well, that'll never happen again. He won't be back. He was new to town. Never seen him before in my life, which was also strange. No one moves to my area. So I went back to get my workout in, and he walks back in again. And we got even more familiar, just more talking, more just eye contact. I can't even say it was really even flirtatious. It was just this home feeling of being home. And I never wanted to leave this place when he was there. By day 3, he said, come here. And we sat down on the floor and we're stretching. And he said, I know you have a son, but are you married? And I said, I did not want to tell him, y'all. I was just like, oh, this is going to ruin it. And I said, I am. And he said, I'm engaged. And we both were just brokenhearted, but we just smiled at each other. It was really weird. It was just like this. We just smiled at each other like it was going to be okay. We didn't really know how, but it was going to be okay. And so day after day, he would come to the gym. And one day I brought him something. I put we kind of exchanged numbers and we started texting, and it just really grew pretty fast. It was we both talked about it. So I went home. Actually, after day 1, I went home and I got on Google because I mean, I can't explain this connection. It was just like, I guess everyone probably watching is maybe familiar with it, but it was just so confusing. So I Googled what happened. I Googled my feelings, and twin flame stuff started coming up. I did not know what a twin flame was. I had no clue. I had never heard of that before. And that came up, and I said, oh, that's what it is. And I even sent him a video on YouTube about it, and he even agreed. It was crazy. And so that's what led me to, in my searching and in my confusion and in my just disbelief that this happened, I was led to Lady Catherine, and I believe it was I was divinely led. She pulled, immediately was, there for me, pulled a natal chart on both of us. We determined, a lot of things up front, and then she began to, read and coach me. And, I don't know if you remember that day, Lady Catherine, but it was a day I'll never forget.
I remember. I remember it vividly because it was at a time where I had just met my twin, and I think both of us were pretty much in shock about it all and how it coincided pretty much at the same time, and all of the similarities in our.
Yes, I think our meetings were 2 or 3 days difference, like in our meeting days. So
yes, it was. And so as you went into, because as you know, I guess really, let me back up. I'm going to ask you the very first hard question, because we all have a very vast view or opinion or belief in what a twin flame is. What is a twin flame to you, Callie?
A twin flame to me, well, if you'd have asked me this in December of 2018 or 2017, I wouldn't have really known what that was. But a twin flame to me it was just home. It was instant recognition. It was just, we knew each other. And it was unlike I've dated a lot in my life. I've been married. There is nothing that compares to this. It literally knocks you off your feet. It literally makes you, it's like a whole new existence, a whole new reality opens up for you. It's just home. And that's really the best way to explain it. It's just like you've known this person in a way that you just can't explain. I mean, you would sound crazy if you were telling people who didn't. That's why I think it's so important to have people like Lady Catherine, because people would think I was crazy, And
people do. I mean, for example,
yes.
I don't know if you experienced this, but in my experience, people were backing off. My friends didn't believe me. They thought that I had become this codependent all of a sudden, and no one really understood. And I have found that unless a person has actually been in a twin flame relationship, they won't understand it.
No, they won't. And if they have been in one, then, it just is a natural, they'll understand everything. Because some of the situational aspects of a lot of these relationships, they're not conventional, and they're actually wrong in so many people's eyes. So I've been very careful who I share that with. I mean, I have one really good friend who understands. She just trusts me. Mm-hmm. But really, it's something that, like I said, it just takes you into this new world inside yourself. That's between you and your twin. And it's just, it like really opens up this spiritual place you didn't know existed, if that makes sense.
It does.
I know it does to you.
and what you mentioned about it not being conventional, there are some arguments out there that say that we're using it as an excuse to divorce, or to walk away from religion, or many of the other things that actually we do have to face in the journey.
Yes, and I would not wish this whole, divorce was not on my mind.
I know.
That's something that I am still having trouble with that aspect of this journey. Definitely, it's just unexplainable. And all of the conventional things that I had been taught and all the stuff, you really can't help but sort of step back from it, because it's so real.
It is.
And
I agree with you. It is. It's so real. And Isn't your background a religious background?
Yes, it is. I was raised up very, very religious, very, Baptist, Pentecostal type background. So divorce is an issue, which that will work itself out. I'm not, people understand that typically, but, just infidelity, different things like that. Um, that is a huge, huge thing that I'm overcoming as far as it's case, but I mean, it's really, that is sort of dogmatic in this situation because you can't really condemn yourself
No,
when you have these feelings.
no, you
So,
can't do that and take it a
yeah,
step further. I Jesus doesn't condemn us.
no. And I mean, everything is, there's divine appointments. And
Yes.
what I keep thinking is, if I wasn't supposed to meet this person, I believe God would have prevented it. I believe God is actually behind it
Yes.
because I was very stagnant in my life. I was hiding.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't living up to my full potential. I was almost kind of just living someone else's dream or life, but I didn't realize it at the time until I met my twin flame that that's what I was doing. And then when I met him, it was like all of these doors started opening and we started, having dreams together like that would, that became, it was like an adventure. And I'll tell you, years ago, I had a very successful career. And then I came back to my hometown and I met my husband and I had my son, and my father passed away suddenly. So I stayed. But I had a little bit of trouble going from successful career person to just not really having anything going on. And I heard God say to me, your adventure is not over. And this was probably in 2010. He said, your adventure is not over. And I didn't know what that meant, and then all of a sudden in 2017, at the end of 2017, all of these weird things started lining up. A company randomly contacted me and gave me a job that I could work from home and like do some traveling. I had this weight loss, this health epiphany. I became who, it's like those years that I lost were stolen. And I'm not saying the years with my husband and having a son were stolen, but those years of not having a dream were stolen. And it's like everything started lining up, and then he walks in. Wow. And I was thinking about that, and we have got, twin flame or not, and I think you'll agree, Lady Catherine, twin flame or not, we have all got to get ourselves spiritually strong, physically strong, healthy, all of that, because who you will attract, twin flame or not, however you feel about yourself is who you're going to attract.
Absolutely.
So I was feeling so good about myself, and I met someone like him, and it was like my twin flame walked in the door. So I feel like maybe I put it off or something, all those years that I didn't have my act together, but I'm sure that's not how it works, but it is something.
It is, and it really is truth. Who we are inwardly is what we attract outwardly. And so
exactly.
We're pretty much on a place of hold, and all of a sudden you've got this decision or awakening, if you will, to get it together spiritually and outwardly, physically, and there he was. And that's from my understanding, and I don't believe that there's one single twin flame expert out there except for God. But my understanding is that if we are going into the journey, we need to be very, very healthy. And if we're not, we typically have an attractive twin flame.
Yes. It's, I believe God prepares a person, probably, they may not realize it, but there's a preparation, just like before someone passes or before someone, you know what I mean? There's always God always prepares you for what's ahead. And I believe that sometimes happens in the twin flame situations. And you have, no matter how hard your situation is, God's prepared you for it. Because there's some things that have happened in my situation, I know in yours too, that the old 2016 Callie could not have handled.
No, No, and I'm telling you, the 2016 Lady Catherine couldn't have handled. I went on
No.
a hiatus for 1 year of being single, completely working inwardly, with the help of my spiritual advisor, whom I won't mention here without his name, but with his help and his guidance and with God, I mean, I became spiritually fit for a year and I thought I was prepared, but I wasn't.
No, we're never fully prepared, but we're more prepared than we would have been when we were
Yes.
just completely, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be hard. I firmly believe it's supposed to be hard. And I've had to deal with things from long ago in my own heart, the healing of the wounds and different things that things just kind of surface up in stages.
Yes.
And our eyes are open. I mean, I believe your spiritual eyes are opened, when you meet your twin, and it isn't just about the union, it's about you.
Yes.
So
It is. It really does become about you and your spiritual involvement. And I believe with all my heart that we are here meeting our twins for the two of us to align or not aligned, but no matter what, we're here to learn unconditional, unlimited love.
yes.
And that's what I'm learning through my twin flame experience. I really am. Callie, I have to ask you, do you believe in the 8 stages of the twin flame? I mean, do you really believe in them? Do you believe that or do you believe that it's a box we're putting ourselves into?
I believe them on, I think it's a great just checklist, I guess, a rundown, just in a lot of cases, it follows that. I don't think we should just expect those stages to happen because you might actually draw a separation, if you don't really need one.
Right?
But I do know the push and pull is real.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that I've had a lot of mini separations. I haven't been, I've read about people who have had 2-year long separations, and they still have faith.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that, but I feel like every journey is different, and it kind of depends on how much work you do, as far as how long how some of these stages happen. Now, the first phase where you're just happy and, the romance phase, I guess is what you call it. That did happen. That is true. That happens. It's like you're the only two people on earth. The push and pull, the chaser, the runner, firmly believe in that. I think with what, you and I have been discussing in our sessions, our trainings and stuff, is how to not be you've got to go with the process. And I mean, I've chased my twin. I'm the chaser. But how do we do that without training them to, the wrong way as far as how to treat us? Because they're still human. So that is where we're at. And having the courage to put a stop to certain, human behavior is actually good for the twin, the runner, or the one that isn't as considerate maybe. It's actually good for them because you're guiding, your self-respect that you have for yourself is actually guiding them instead of your insecurity. So it's like it's just a very strange dynamic. The telepathy, I definitely can attest to that, just feeling the energy of my twin. But I think it's different. The severity is different for everyone. But I guess I'm a believer in the steps. What about you?
I believe that we shouldn't put ourselves into that box of the stages.
Yeah.
Because we do attract what we think.
Yes, because if you're sitting here thinking, oh, I'm going to get separations next, you're going to bring on a separation.
Yes. So if you look at the 8 stages and you say, oh, wow, I have to go through all of this before we reach union, then you're really setting yourself up to go through all that.
Yes. And I mean, if you can love your twin and you can clear and you can work with whoever your spiritual coach is or advisor, you can go through this process without having to deal with so much, you can, if you have the right tools. I feel sorry for people who don't have that you support, because I know a lot are suffering,
They are.
you know, in silence.
There are a lot of them that are suffering in silence, and I think many of them have fallen for the analogy that they must get through the 8 stages, and that's just not true. I don't believe
No,
it for a second.
no.
And even in my own case, I really set myself up to get through those stages, and all of a sudden I said, why am I doing this?
Yes.
It
Why am
tries-
I fearing this?
Yes, because
And it may not even
I would
happen.
say, okay, we're at stage 2, stage 3, and then it was playing out, and I said, no, we're going to skip over all of this.
Yes.
We're going to skip it and be done with it, which we are in union
Yes.
now, but that's only by the grace of God, and a lot of support from you too, Callie.
Well, it's been awesome to watch, and I do think when you put the brakes on the expectations of what other experts or what other people have had happen, you put the brakes on all of that extra unneeded drama. So,
well, okay, so you were in bliss for how many months?
We were in bliss from January 4th to March 22nd. Still stayed in bliss for a couple of months after that, but my husband did find out about this situation. He didn't know the extent of it. It went down very traumatically for me. I thought it was over. I'll never forget, because I have a son. I've been very careful with how this situation affects him. It's not his, I want to make sure it's the right time for him when his world changes on any level, whether it be, even though it would be maybe for the better. But yeah, it was so traumatic, and it's almost like I was supposed to get found out about. It was almost like the universe was not wanting anything bad for me, but this whole process, I've seen that I believe my husband is a karmic partner.
Yes.
And I believe that the universe is really working on him to let go. And I am fully trusting God and the universe to move me and him and my twin flame and his fiance to where we need to be on God's timing, on the universe timing. I don't want to be fiddling around and, not be healed, and then me and mine don't get, God never goes wrong.
No, he doesn't.
So
no, he does not. And for those who say she, neither one. I mean, divine
yes.
does not get it wrong.
No.
I want to ask you, Callie, where are you right now if we go by stages?
Well, we just came out. If we were going by the stages, we had a 2-month separation. Another strange thing about my twin and I is my dad and I were very, very, very close. I mean, crazy close. He died suddenly in July of 2010. My twin's dad, they are very, 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 very close. I mean, it reminded me. We actually talked about it. I knew his dad. His dad actually condoned our relationship. He was a part of our relationship. He fell ill all of a sudden in October and the end of August, and died fairly quickly. That caused a separation between me and my flame and I. And I very hard, because I could feel what he was feeling. I felt it before. I could feel his grief. In fact, I didn't hear from him the whole time his dad was sick, and I didn't know his dad passed until I saw it in the newspaper. And so, if you tell your friends that, they're going to say, what a jerk. Why didn't he tell you? But I could feel his energy. I went up to the gym. I quit going to that gym during that time because it was just too sad.
Yes.
But on the day his dad died, the day before and the day his dad died, I found myself, not even knowing any of that was going on, I found myself in that gym crying on the floor. Oh. And I know I was feeling what he was feeling. And every time I would say, I'm just going to walk away, I'm just going to walk away, I would feel him. And it was like he was here. It's just unexplainable. And then in December, I'd been working with Lady Catherine, and she was like, you're not going to hear, and she told me exactly when I would hear, and I did. And I was prepared for it because of that. But he did emerge, but it wasn't what, if you have all these expectations on someone, like I had all these expectations on what I wanted to hear from him when he messaged me. And of course, all that, it put me on, the defensive, because then you react because they didn't respond the way you wanted them to or whatever. But anyway, we texted a few times. It won a couple of weeks later. We texted again. And then we actually met back up for the first time. Get this, accidentally. I mean, we met back up on 111 for the first time.
That is funny.
We were in his pickup, his car, and the radio said 1111. We go to his house. My phone says 1111 because I guess the truck was, and the whole time we were apart, I was seeing 1111 and 808. Those are our two numbers nonstop. And I wondered if he was, I wondered how could he not? We always saw those. I would go to bed early, get up thinking it was morning, come in here to the clock and look, and I'd say, good grief, because it would be 11:11. So anyway, I asked, we were talking that day, and I asked him if he thought of me, and he said all the time. He said it was all the time. And I believe he had made a decision not to, I think he'd tried to make a decision to end it. I really do. But the numbers, the thoughts, I mean, when you have a twin flame, they consume you can't get them out of your head.
You can't.
It's almost like I had to get to where I would have to like try to not, so I could sleep, because God doesn't, or the universe doesn't want us separated, really. I don't think,
No.
So, anyway, he said he saw the numbers all the time while his dad was sick. He thought of me all the time. Something inside of him wouldn't let him reach out. And I thought, some people might think that's a cop-out, but I could have texted too, and something would hold me back.
Yes, I remember that. Clearly.
Something tell me, no, not yet. And I believe that in some cases, the man, the divine masculine, may not even realize why he can't, but he wants to. And so it's just all about just getting to where we need to be and learning to walk with grace through this, because it is tough. It is tough. But I'm so relaxed now compared to then. It's just amazing.
You are. It is amazing. The journey has been amazing. I've been able to watch it from afar, and your growth is phenomenal from where you were a year ago.
Yes.
Where are you presently with this one?
Well, we try to see each other once a week. We still have some push and pull, but it's much more consistent. His communication is much more consistent. He's sharing more. I believe he's surrendered to the process, even though he may not, know that for sure. Somewhere spiritually. I mean, I some nights I'll say, please, let's visit in the night. I mean, I know this sounds maybe crazy to some, but I'll say, let's visit in the night, an update, Every night I do that, I dream about him, and I believe that he's feeling this. His higher self is feeling this. So, I do know that we're better. We're still not together, but I see a light at the end of the tunnel, and what seems so impossible a year ago actually seems possible.
It is possible. This is a world where everything is possible. The journey may not be so easy all the time, but I've come to find that it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Allie,
definitely.
I think we're going to close the show. Is there anything that you would like to say to any of the listeners out there?
If you have found yourself in this situation and you're tossing and turning, you don't know what to make of it. Maybe you're married, maybe you're, just in a situation where you're beating yourself up that this happened and you don't understand it. I suggest reaching out to Lady Catherine or to someone that has experience with this. It can be very heavy. and no counselor is going to be able to understand. Only someone who's been through it, who is spiritually gifted. I firmly stand that I would not have understood any of this. There's no telling where I would be mentally if I hadn't had Lady Catherine, if I hadn't have, really opened myself up to getting through this the right way. So if you don't have somebody to reach out to like that, I suggest you get someone, because you don't have to walk this path alone, because it will feel like you're alone many times. So I suggest, there's people out there who've done it. There's people out there who are in union. There's people out there who still aren't in union, but do know the process and do know how to help you. So just believe in yourself and don't rush yourself. Don't be thinking it's got to be, in a month, I've got to be at this person. It's not going to ever work out the way you think. But I do believe that the divine's timing is, in the end, and when all is said and done, is way better than anything we could have done on our own. So just trust.
Thank you so much,
And
Allie.
thank
Really,
you.
really, thank you for sharing with us today. But I want to bring you back for more and more this year, because I believe with all my heart that this is your year. So as you enter each stage, I won't put you in a box. But as you work your way into union, I would like to have you back as a guest so that we can hear how you're doing.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you,
Lady
Allie.
Catherine.
Okay, as we end the show, I just want to thank anyone who's out there listening. You can reach me at www.loveandlightwithmagicwinds.com. Thank you and have a good day.